Hello and welcome back to Boopolo channel. My name is Pascal. Today I am going to review my RF 70-200 2.8L lens. I'll put a link in the description below where you can buy this. If you like this video or any of our other videos, please subscribe. A 70-200 great lens for going out taking wildlife photos, general photography. You can do portraits with it. You have the golden spot at 85mm in it. That's what I would consider portrait size. You have double that again, of course, and more, and down to 70. So you could go all day without changing this lens in certain circumstances. You could use it for doing flowers and all that. It is not a macro lens, of course, but you can still get in very, very close with it. It comes with this nice hood, and the hood has a door in it for if you had a circular polarizing filter on it, you can change it, or your variable density filter, whatever. So you can open the door there and then close it again. So yeah, it fits on like normal. It has the button. All the RF seem to have a button on them now, the HUDs, which the EF lenses didn't have, and it stops it accidentally coming off. And for the range that you want to set the lens at, it has only got two. It's got 2.5 meters to infinity over to here. So if you were doing zoomed in, that's what you would have it. And if somebody walked in front of you, it's not going to hunt right down. The lens, although it's compact, it's substantial, and it weighs. I will weigh it for you with the caps on. No, I'll take off the top cap. Now, bear in mind, I'll take off the top cap. Now bear in mind that it also has a UV filter, which I'm not going to take off. So you can take this off as well, this ring, but most people will leave this on because you can actually hold it by here if you want to. Then of course lots of people will put it on their tripod with that. So we'll weigh it in grams. It's more than a kilo, so it's 1.235, so it's about 1.2, I'd say, without this on it. It'll be under 1.2 if you take the bracket off it. Yeah, it's substantially heavy, but not. I've had heavier lenses than this in that range. So when you leave it on your table, that's the main reason a lot of people leave this on is to take it off, and you can just leave it on the table like that. It's not going to roll about or anything like that. So that in itself is good. So next button we have along is our autofocus and manual focus. The control ring is in here, and you can hear the clicks on it. So we will use the control ring for whatever you set in the camera, but you will set it either for shutter speed, aperture, exposure compensation, or ISO, film speed, as some would call it. And then we have our focus ring here. So we've the stabilizer. The stabilizer is on or off, but there's also 3 different modes of stabilization. And then for zooming, you're not able to zoom it out while the lock is on it. So there's a zoom lock on it, and it's here, and we just unlock it like that, and then we can zoom out. So you want to know how long it is. What we'll do is we'll take off the back one, and now I'm not going to take off the UV filter because I can still measure to there. And on the full size, it is 212 millimeters, approximately 212, or 8¼ inches. And when it's closed in its compact size. When we put it on the camera in a minute, we can measure it with the camera. It's coming in at 150 millimeters, or 5 7/8 inches, something like that, close to there. As you see here, it's an L lens, so it has the O-ring goes around here. That's for weather sealing. Be careful with that. Some friend of mine told me he actually damaged one of them by mishandling his lens in the dark. And you can get a new one from Canon if you happen to do that. But I'm going to tell you about the lens itself. It has got 17 elements in 13 groups. The filter size is a 77, which is a common in a lot of Canon L lenses. So you probably may have that size already. It's a pretty standard size. So this is really, really compact in the size I gave. But the autofocus USM on them has two motors. They're called nano USM motors, and nano as in small, and they're dual and they're almost silent. You can barely hear it focusing, not like in a non-L lens. There are two ultra low dispersion elements inside in it. One is a standard UD and the other one is a super UD. There's two aspherical elements inside in which help with aberration and also with distortion. The coating that's used on the elements is called air sphere, and of course that stops with reflections and all that. So that's telling you about the inside of the lens. So what we'll do is we will put it on. I'll put it on my R6 Mark II here, and we will show you what it's like on the hand. So it's the red line here. If you're not used to Canon, of course, if you are. Now you can adjust this ring here. I have it set that it's on the bottom like that, so you can actually hold this. When you are holding this like this, the focus ring you may be touching off, but most people will use autofocus. But you have no problem using the control ring or the zoom ring. It only takes a couple of seconds to take this off. So what you do is you pull this out to open it off, like that, and take it off. And when you're pushing it back in, that one would click in, like that, and then we tighten it down. So, yeah, you probably want to keep it in the proper position, so I'm after altering it there so that the camera is level. But it's great that you can have that for if you're doing portrait mode. There's a little mark here, just a tiny little dot, and that lines up there for horizontal. There's another one here for portrait, and that line up with it, and the other way if you're doing a portrait, the other way also. As I said, this is a great all-round lens. I've used it. If you don't have a macro, you can still use it for taking photos of like for instance, at a wedding, you could take photos of the rings of the bride and groom or something like that. It's within that range, so you can take a lot of the bridal photographs with it. You probably would bring a 24-70 along with it. So once you have, for wedding, 24-70 and 70-200, you have the whole range that you need. For 24 will be for the group photograph, of course, 24-28. And you're covering all the main numbers there. And this one, as I said, covers the 85mm, which is standard for portrait. When you're putting the hood on, of course, you can have it in the top position or in the bottom position. The door on the bottom, you'll start it off 90 degrees over there. So even with the hood on it, it is still very, very compact. It's a little bit fatter than a non-L and that, but it's got all these elements inside in it. So I would highly recommend to buy this one and the 20 and the 24. The part of what Canon describes as a trinity set of lenses. So there you go. That's my review of the RF 70-200 2.8L lens by Canon. I'll put a link down on the bottom there in the description where you can buy this. And thank you very much for watching. And if you like this video or any of our other videos, please subscribe.